Hello and welcome to my Techo Kaigi 2024. So, my name is Linda and I love journaling and all things stationery, and it's that time of year, right? We are heading to the end of the year and into the new year of 2024, and it's that time to plan for how we are going to plan for the next year, what planners we are going to use, what journals we're going to use. So in this video, I'm going to share my Techo Kaigi process, and Techo Kaigi is a Japanese term, and it's loosely translated to be like a meeting with yourself about your planners and journals. You're basically going to reflect on what you have been using, how it's going, and use all that information to inform you on how you're going to plan and what you're going to use in the new year. So I think we all sort of do this at the end of the year. The last couple of months, there's a lot of pre-orders of planners and new things coming out. And of course, you are sort of pushed to think about what you are going to use for the following year. I think that I am not alone in feeling a lot of anxiety at the end of the year. Maybe that's every year, but this year especially, there's just been a lot of serious life events for me personally and everything that's going on. I'm just feeling very frazzled and unsure about my plans for the future, just as a whole. And I definitely feel like I need a reset. I know that it's arbitrary to do these kinds of things at the end of the year because you can decide to make a change at any point in time. But the end of the year, like the crossing from one year to the next, it's definitely like a good sort of wake-up call. And I know I have to change things because what I've been doing so far, at the end of the day, it's not making me feel satisfied. Like, I don't feel on top of my game. And I realize that you can't always end the day like on top of the world kind of thing. But like ultimately, I think we all want to get closer and closer to that feeling. Like at the end of the day, when you finish your day, you feel like, hey, I had a pretty good day, or I handled my day well, and you're generally not super stressed all the time. So planners and notebooks in general, they are amazing tools, right, to help us with our lives. They can store information, they can help us work out, like process problems and make plans, and they can help guide us in our day-to-day lives, right? And I know a lot of people talk about planner peace, and I really don't think it's one state that we can just reach because life is always changing. So our needs are going to change as well. I don't think there's one perfect system, forever. We are not robots. I think we also like stationery, and it's like, we want it to be useful, but at the same time, it's a hobby. So the whole community, we want to play and enjoy the process as well. So it's not just a productivity tool. So it sort of has to like do those two things. You have to balance out like the practical and like the fun part. So I definitely have planner hopped this past year. I just really couldn't find the thing that would stick. Not that I've ever been like super great or consistent with planning in general. I fall off very easily. It's sort of funny how when life gets really stressed, instead of planning more to get on top of things, I usually abandon my planner. So maybe, it's not really doing what it's supposed to do for me if I don't go to it to help solve problems. You know what I mean? I have tried rings, I have tried discs, I have tried pocket sized, A5 sized. I've used like daily planners, pocket sized, Moleskine, like or similar brands, and the bullet journal kind of thing in a notebook, made my own inserts. It's not that anyone's system like completely didn't work or anything, but I did fall out of it eventually, and maybe it's because there's those two elements, right? Like you want it to help you in productivity, but at the same time it has to be also joyful and fun, and you have to want to do it. Otherwise, it will drop off. And I think sometimes we're so busy with everyday life that we don't even look at our planner. And again, it's weird because your planner is supposed to help you with those things, but when it gets too busy, you don't use it, right? And personally, I feel like there have been periods this year where I'm just like pulled into that river of life and I'm just surviving. So I'm not really doing a lot of like I'm I'm really not doing any like kind of strategic planning. I'm just reactive and doing things as I need to like get through the day. And other times, I have three kids, so during summer vacation, our routine, our schedule, everything is completely different. So I'm doing a lot of things with families and kids. We might be traveling, so I just don't need like the planner in the same way as the rest of the year. So it's different reasons why a person might planner hop or change their planner system. And it makes me think that planner hopping actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, when your life changes, maybe from season to season or something, obviously you're going to change your planning system or your habits, right? Because it has to change with your life to accommodate it. So I've been reading this book and I've read it before, but I'm rereading it and trying to apply it. I don't know about you. I am sort of like a self-help book junkie. Like I do love reading those types of books that like, are trying to teach you something. The problem is if you just read it, but then you don't like make a plan to actually apply the things that you've learned, then yes, it's great that you learned new things, but nothing's going to change in your life because you're not applying the things that you learned, right? So this little book is a self-published piece by Alexis Giostra. She is known as Miss Trenchcoat here on YouTube, and I followed her for many, many years, like way back when YouTube like just started. And she gives very practical information on productivity and planning. And she also has sort of like a astrology woo-woo kind of side, but like based in science kind of thing that I also very much like. So I decided for 2024, I really need a little reset for my planning life. And I need to simplify as much as possible, but still obviously do things that I like because, again, it is a hobby and I want it to be enjoyable, so we'll actually do it. So I want to give myself more reasonable expectations for 2024. I know that many of us sort of binge watch like lineup videos, and I do that as well. It's just like something I can leave there playing while I'm doing other stuff. But I have to be honest, like so many times you're watching these lineup videos and you're like, this is insane. This person is not going to be able to keep up with this. Like, what are they doing? You're sort of setting yourself up for failure. And I know it's easy to pretend to be like, look at my lineup. It's 20 planners and notebooks and I love them all and I'm going to use them. And that's just not reality. And I think if you do the whole Techo Kaigi thing, like think about the past years. What have you actually done, regardless of what you have set up as your lineup? What were the actual things that you used? If you look from year to year, maybe that will give you a better idea of what is actually reasonable. And again, you could push it a little bit, but like a little bit, not like doubling, your load. So I realized that for me, it's not really so much a problem of having too many notebooks or something because I don't expect myself to use like 20 notebooks on a daily basis. Obviously, that is too much. I'm more concerned with what are my everyday things and things that I want to keep consistent with. And then I have all of my hobby, based notebooks, TNs, whatever, all that kind of stuff. That's fine. That's like all for fun. So I don't mind having lots of them. I don't think that's a problem. I mean, it's sort of like if you think about like playing video games. If you like playing video games, you probably have a lot of games. Like you don't just have one, and that's fine. You play whichever one you're like into at the moment, and I think that's okay, right? So I still have a little stack of like planner/journals that I'm going to be using for 2024. So I'm starting afresh, and I will go through those, but I want to go back to basics in terms of planning, and that's why I'm referencing this functional planning handbook where it explains what, functional planning, like essentially it has three phases that sort of might happen in rotation. There's the capture phase, the strategic planning of objectives, and then the tracking and allocating of work or your time, like your schedule. So capturing information is basically writing it all down, like instead of storing it in your head. it has to be somewhere. I know some people, like analog, some people like digital. It's sort of like your inbox in your planner, or not or, but like also your brain dump pages, your notes pages, your, random lists of to-dos, like all of the information. That is the capture phase or element of your planning system, right? Then there's the strategic planning that is supposed to be like goal setting, making project plans, like having a big picture of things that you're trying to achieve and all the steps and actions that you have to take to reach the goal. And once you have all that information, then you can actually go to the last part of tracking and allocating all these different like work times and like your time and your tasks, which means, populating your calendar, trackers, keeping track of what happens, all of that kind of stuff. And obviously, you can go read this book. It's on Amazon, but you can also just go watch her YouTube channel. She is Miss Trenchcoat on YouTube, and you'll learn a lot there. But in my Techo Kaigi reflections, I wrote down here a list of things that I thought I would actually need for planning. Like on the journaling front, I think I'm good. It's really on the planning front that sometimes I feel like I'm not on top of things. I don't know what's going on. Like it just feels like a mess. And if it feels like a mess in my head, it means that the tools that I'm using in front of me, like they're not doing what they're supposed to do, right? So I wrote this little list, and I'm realizing that most of the time I'm just making it through the day, and I'm reacting to things around me or things that are requested of me, and doing things on the fly because I have this hour, let me do this. And so things are not, strategically planned. And, I don't have things all organized in the big picture. I'm just doing what I can. And so I'm really only doing like the calendaring part of things. And I definitely have a huge problem when it comes to capture, because I have information everywhere. Like I take notes by hand, on my phone digitally, I email myself, I text have things in my text messages. I take a lot of screenshots on my phone, and have like browser tabs open. There are appointment cards and papers regarding my kids' appointments. I definitely have a problem when it comes to like the whole inbox to-do thing, because I don't have a good habit in place. So it's not so much the system, it's more, I don't have any kind of system, and I don't have a habit. So my hope is to consolidate everything into one or two places so that it's not all over the place when it comes to like capture, Like I know some people, they have like a little notebook where they just write everything in there and then they process it later. So I need to make it a habit to actually process the information. Like I have notes and things everywhere, but I don't always go back and like process them or file them, like put them where they need to be and organize so that I can make sense of everything. Like I'll have 10 internet browser tabs open on my computer, and each one is actually like a note about something. That's why I'm leaving it open, which is fine to do that when you're like in a rush and, things are going on. But that means that you need to have like some kind of dedicated time to process all of those informations, right? And put it in its place. So I need some kind of habit, or like an actual to-do item, maybe at the end of every day or at the end of every week, like whatever works, to go to all the places that capture information and process them. And those of you who have like an inbox in your planners and things like that, maybe that's what you do. I would love it if you share in the comments, like how do you handle the whole capture phase, because I definitely need help, and need to work on that. I'm like not disciplined enough to put it all in one place, I guess, because I use like these different things. But that's a first step for me. I just need to at least give myself time to process it, even if it's in different places, so you can sort of like clear it out kind of thing. And I don't know, so I've shown this before, my everyday carry passport TN. I don't know if this is going to work, because I tried to make it work. I basically wanted to write all the things in here, right? Like jot it all down so then I can process it. It's all in one place. But I forget this thing in places. I leave it around the house. I want to use it, but I just forget about it, and it's not the thing that I go to. Obviously, I haven't like developed the habit. I'm just not great at collecting information and like writing the insert here. Having to pull it out, open it, write in it. Much more useful or like common for me to do is to take notes on my phone. So notes apps and writing in there, or lots of screenshots. I take a lot of screenshots. So maybe I need to stop this everyday carry thing because it's just not really doing what it's supposed to do. Obviously, I can keep it in my purse. It's like the occasional usage when you're out and about, but I'm not, the bulk of my time is around my home and around my kids' like schedules. So not really like I'm out and pulling it out of my purse all the time. And it's just not on my body 24/7 to be like taking notes. If I have like my baby in one hand, really in the other hand, I have my phone. So good or bad, I think the phone is really the thing that I need to take the notes in and stuff like that. So again, let me know how you handle this capture phase. Do you have a good system to share? I'm gonna try to make it like a daily habit to process all the things so that it doesn't pile up and just get overwhelming. Like right now, it's a bit overwhelming, and I need to spend a great deal of time because I've got stuff everywhere piled up from like months. So I realize that it might seem like repetitive. Like, why would you capture in different places and then you have to process them? Like, why don't you just put them all in one place or use, digital tools and apps and stuff? But I don't know. I think writing down by hand, it just helps me and my brain to process better. I don't want it to be digital. I'm not against technology or anything, but I've just always felt that when I write by hand, it helps me to process the information better. Let me know if that's with you too. It's just like an analog thing. Like when it comes to digital things, I've used project management softwares and apps and things before, but it's like it goes into the void for me. Like I just don't prefer it and don't work well with it. So I need that analog. So whether it is like, even if I do capture tidbits and things digitally and then on paper, at some point I need to like collate everything by hand and like figure it out. So that's the capture phase. And the strategic planning goal setting phase, I wrote projects here because I do like semi do this halfway. So I mentioned that I've been sort of surviving and just like calendaring and doing what I need to do. Obviously, I do have work responsibilities. I'm a freelance graphic designer, and I also have other paid commitments online, like digital work. And so, of course, I have to schedule them. I have to hit the deadlines like they are projects. And I schedule them out to make sure that I don't miss the deadlines. But I'm just not like super strategic about it from like a yearly basis. I'm always like, oh my God, there's that deadline. Got to do it. And obviously, when I'm obligated to do something I have agreed to, I will get it done. I'm like very obliger. Is it obliger? Obliger type personality. So I sort of have to do this goal setting thing where I have project plans for certain efforts because they are like, paid, or I've, agreed to do it with the responsibility, like accountability to someone else. So I will do it. But in terms of personal life goals and other bigger long-term goals that are important to me, but because they're not tied to external deadlines and other people, I can always put them in the back burner. And that's sad because it's like you're treating yourself badly, right? Like you put yourself in the last position because you sacrifice your, physical health, mental health, whatever, to get all the other things done. So in 2024, I really want to prioritize like myself. So Alexis, like Miss Trenchcoat, she always says that your number one priority should be yourself, because it's like it literally has to be one of your goals, yourself, like mental health, physical health, like all the things. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to do all the other things. It might seem like it works at this point, but you're going to reach a breaking point and you don't want to get to that point. So I very much agree with that. And I want to work on all of these personal things, like personal goals as well. I just haven't been thinking about it like at all, really this whole past year. So I really need to go through that process of creating proper goals and objectives, then lay out all the projects and tasks and schedule them out. And in my brainstorming, I also wrote out some other things that I wanted to track and deal with. Maybe there'll be inserts or notes in my planner. I just decided, like, I was very tempted to buy a planner. and be like, oh, I'm going to use this as my 2024 planner, Hobonichi or something. There's so many options out there. They're really enticing and lovely, and you can use your fountain pens. And I was very, very tempted, and I'm glad that I ended up basically not buying anything. I mean, I guess I could use some of the notebooks for planning, but I didn't buy like a specific, like, this is my 2024 quote unquote planner at this point, and I'm not going to buy anything because I'm just going to start from zero. I basically printed out a monthly calendar that I made myself, and that's just going to be the first thing that I want to make sure I keep track of. I like seeing things monthly. I like seeing the high level events, appointments, deadlines, and I'm just using it on this, and I'm making my own inserts because I already have all these tools. I already have all the stuff. I can make my own inserts. Like, it's not a big deal. So, it just makes the most sense to use what I have. I don't really need like another notebook. And the cool thing about using printables is that you can scribble on them, mess them up, and you can also reprint and rewrite it if it bothers you to see things very messy. One of the things I realize is that maybe planners have not been working very well for me because I've tried to make them two things and then it never works out. Like, I love seeing people with beautiful handwriting, and their planners are so, like, they're such pieces of art, you know what I mean, after the fact. They're like planning and it looks amazing, you know what I mean? And if I try to do that, then I won't be planning. Like, does that make sense? My actual planning is quite messy. I write really fast. When I'm busy, like, my handwriting is completely a reflection of how I'm feeling at that moment. So for me to stop and do like pretty planning, and I'm not like, trying to bring those people down because maybe they just naturally have good handwriting and that's perfect, that's great. But for me, I'm wanting like those two separate things that cannot be done by me in the same place. So having printables, you can sort of circumvent that because you can be messy and crazy, but if you wanted the pretty version, you can just rewrite it. And I don't think that rewriting is a horrible thing. Like, sometimes people backlog, sometimes people rewrite. It just helps you to process. Like I said, the act of writing something, I think it helps you to process everything that you're doing. So if I wanted to do that, I could, but I think more so my planning, it's not stuff that I keep. It's like I use it. And maybe I will have a different notebook that I actually want for like keeping, but I don't, it's a different thing. So I'm going to have my monthly, and it's going to have birthdays, appointments, all that kind of stuff. But that's it. And I am a little bit like unsure as to how I will combine all the things in one place. Which is why I understand why people have separate planners. Like, especially if you do any kind of social media or blogging, like, you need an editorial calendar, right? Like, let's say you post on IG or you post on your blog or, multiple places. You want to see that on a calendar when you're posting, right? But if you mix that with your monthly calendar of just your normal everyday events and stuff, it's going to get crazy because if you use tools or you schedule things out ahead of time, you're not actually working on that day. It's just being posted that day. So I understand it can get crazy when you have so many different things going on at the same time, and that's why some people separate it, which actually works well with printables, because let's say I want to print out another monthly calendar and I'm just like, okay, this is my blog schedule, so I'm just going to map out when the blogs are going to be published. But the time when I'm writing all of these things, it's not the day that it's being published, but I do need to know when it's being published because you're going to be doing other actions like promotion and things like that on those days. So again, I'm still going to be figuring these things out. But for now, monthly events, like personal stuff at a glance, so that every day, like, I'm going to leave this open on my desk so I can see what is going on. And I'm just trying to not overwhelm myself now and like create things as I need them so that it's more of like an organic process and expanding on this sort of like homemade planner. And I did make a list of things that I may want to create, but I'm just keeping it simple for right now and seeing how it goes. And so really my lineup is using this homemade planner and The rest are really more like journals. And oh my gosh, I'm so chatty, but I hope it was interesting, this whole talking out like my process of my Techo Kaigi for you, and that maybe you've picked up some tips or tricks. But so, what the heck is my lineup, right? Okay, so on the planning front, I'm using a homemade planner, this thing that I made, and I might add to it, and we'll see what happens. Now, for everything else in my lineup, it's basically more like journaling, and so I am going to continue with my 3-year Midori diary. I love this thing. I've been keeping up with it this year, and I love the Midori paper. It's like creamy paper, and I just realized I have to think what color I'm going to switch to for next year, because all this year I've been using this Coeco olive green sport with a green ink inside. It's like an alt gold green, something like that, green ink from Rowe, Her, and Klinger. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but you'll be able to find it. It's pretty like common, but I love it. So I'm thinking of changing the color of ink every year. So I need to decide what I'm going to use next year for 2024. But going to continue with my 3-year Midori diary. Love it, easy to keep up with, and I've shown this pocket moleskin as well. Which I've been writing my accomplishments in. It's pen only. It's just to cheer myself up, or to like mental health kind of thing, to be like, okay, I did something today productive and it's all good, even if it's just surviving, like literally. So I didn't want to buy another one for 2024, because this is like practically empty, as I'm only writing a few lines on it, and it's expensive. And I thought, why don't I just use it again, and go day by day, even if it's dated for 2023. But I mean, you've got the days. Maybe not the leap year day. I guess that's the only day that's missing. But okay, whatever. That's okay. I can live with that. But what I'm going to use this for 2024 is to make it a daily affirmation journal. So I don't know if I want to like collage or do like artistic stuff, because that might be too much to commit to. We will see. But I already have a folder of affirmations collected on my computer, so I am making it as easy as possible for myself. I just want to set myself up for success. So this pocket moleskin will be a daily affirmation every day. So again, good for my mental health. So for memory keeping, I'm using a Hobonichi cousin this year, but I'm switching to using the Midori One Day One Page. And it's because I didn't want something that was dated daily. I can't keep up with that. I think it's a bit much. I've been doing memory keeping for years, so it's not like I haven't done it daily and have to like fill in pages and all of that kind of stuff. I've also done like weekly highlights. I've done monthly highlights. I've like switched it around, my memory keeping, from year to year. But I realize that it's very much based on photos, because I come from like that scrapbooking world. So I would rather just do like monthly highlights in this Midori One Day One Page, and then just put in entries as I see fit. So I'm super excited to use this, because I love the paper. I've always wanted to use like a Midori One Day One Page, and I also bought the TWSBI Rose Cream new pen, because it matches. Yes, I am very matchy, but I'm just so excited to use this combo. So that is for memory keeping. Then I have a Magic of I planner, which is like an astrology based planner. And I think it's supposed to be a planner, but I just wanted all of the astrology based information inside of it. For me, it's more about a journal, about intentions and feelings, like my woo-woo journal. And it's my first time using it. It's A6, it's very small, so I don't think that it will actually be difficult to keep up with, because, again, it's like less than the 3-year diary. Like there's less lines, but I've always admired the Magic of I planners, and they're so beautiful, so I just wanted to try it out. And I don't think it'll be too hard to keep up with. Although, again, it's my first time, so we never know. A new effort for me. I have done moon journaling and things like that, but that's only on like new moon and full moon. So this is obviously a daily and weekly reflections kind of thing. So we will see. By the way, I was watching My Dandelion Diaries, I think, here on YouTube, and she featured this Magic of I planner, and she set it up in one of her videos, and I learned from her that the Hobonichi A6 Hon plastic cover fits on this, so I bought it to cover it up, because this planner cover, it has like a weird, like Swedish feeling, like it freaked me out. I didn't like the feeling of this cover. So that's why I had to put the plastic cover on it. But I realized that the gold foiling, well, the reason why I put the plastic cover also is because my Dandelion Diary said that the gold foiling might rub off with lots of use. And then some people, they might use a different like leather cover so it doesn't rub off. So I think it depends on your habits. But I put this plastic cover on and I realized the gold foiling is already transferring onto the plastic cover. So maybe that wasn't like the best thing. For me, it's okay because I'm going to keep this plastic cover on here indefinitely. I'm not going to use it, later, so it's fine, but it definitely is transferring. And I think it's because I stack my journals a lot and sometimes I put stuff in between, so it's being like pushed. So I think if you do that, you're like pushing on the plastic onto the cover, so that's why the gold foiling might transfer. So I don't know if you can see this very well, but definitely spots of the gold foiling has already transferred, and that's just from me like piling this planner here and there. I haven't even started using it, right? So whatever, it's okay. I'm gonna keep the plastic cover on it forever, so I don't mind. It is okay. It is what it is, right? But just something to note. Like even traveler's notebooks, like leather covers with foiling, they will rub off over time. So that's just like a thing with like any kind of foiling. So finally, I have this cute bear cover from Kimbor, and inside is a 2024 A6 Kimbor, which I guess I was supposed to use for planning, but I'm going to use it for personal journaling, like pen only. It's not supposed to really have deco unless I like really feel like it, but it is a personal writing journal. And I've done this before with like Hobonichi A6. I just wanted to use the Kimbor because it has more space, like it doesn't have the quotes and all that kind of stuff. And obviously it's way cheaper. And you're probably not going to see this a lot because I don't really share personal like journaling pages at all. So that is my lineup. In the sense that these are the things that I will touch like daily, like almost daily. Only the memory keeping might not be, but like, almost daily, like all of these things, and that's it. And I do think it's reasonable because I'm practically doing most of these things already, so it's not like a huge change, just like a couple additions. So if you've watched my videos before, you're probably wondering, wait a minute, what about all your themed journals and your traveler's notebooks and, other notebooks that you have? Well, okay, I still have them. In no way am I like getting rid of them or anything like that. I just realized that all those other things are things that I don't touch on a daily basis. I go in phases, or it depends on like obviously travel notebooks, it's only when you're traveling, right? So I don't really consider that as part of my lineup. And as I mentioned before, it's like having video games or like having lots of things to go to as your hobby. You pick up whichever one you want to do at the moment. And I think that that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's not my lineup. Like it's not a daily, touch point or any other regular interval. So I think I'm okay with that. I think I've found like mental peace about that kind of thing. But what I'm going to do is actually join in on Heart Breathings. It's another YouTube channel here. She has like a notebook challenge video that she does every month where she's basically going through sort of her lineup on a monthly basis, but also notebooks that she's trying to use up because she's, buys all the notebooks and like many of us, but she wants to use them. So she just makes it an effort. And I realize I like that idea. On a monthly basis, maybe I choose like one that I'm like, oh, I really want to work on this one for this month, which is fine. And then the next month it might be something else. So it's much more like hobbyish than what Heart Breathings shares, because she does more like a lineup, even like planners and stuff. But I mean more in just the hobby notebook sphere. So like, for example, in January 2024, really the extra hobby notebook that I will be using is my junk journal, because I'm participating in Junk Journal January. So I'm going to be using that insert, and I will have a video later of me setting up that insert. It's like a TN standard size insert that I'm reusing, and I'm going to be doing Junk Journal January. So in 1 month, I might like touch a couple extra journals because I'm playing with those. And then like in February, I might do something else. So I think that that will work for me. Um, you know, all your notebooks, your planners, and things like that, they're supposed to serve you. And at the end of the day, they're supposed to make you happy, right? So I don't want to be stressed out by it. I think that this sort of way of approaching it all makes sense and it doesn't seem overwhelming. Maybe it does seem overwhelming to someone who is not like a stationary person because I still have like a stack of notebooks. But again, this is like three lines, like 3 lines a day. Really, only this one is like an A6 sized, like journaling, and then obviously my memory keeping is when I want to or have something to memory keep. So it's probably not going to be daily, and that's it. So I think that it's definitely very approachable. So on the planning front, obviously I'm still working out a lot of things, but I'm just going to go by it step by step and keep reading this book and figure things out, make my own inserts, and just, quote unquote, try to organically develop my system. If you want to call it that, like system, it's not, it doesn't have to be that complicated, basically, is what I think. So I don't really share a lot of necessarily planning videos anyways, because like I said, I've never been big on like the planning or like plan with me kind of things, because I'm more of a journaler and love to do all the fun stuff. And the planning is just because you're trying to obviously keep your life straight. Yeah, so that's it for my Techo Kaigi thoughts and reflections and what I'm going to be using in 2024. I hope you enjoyed watching this video and picked up some interesting tidbits. Thank you so much for getting to this point. Let me know down in the comments what you think. What's your lineup? Do you have a video? Put it down in the comments so I can go watch. So thank you so much for watching this video. And remember, I am a graphic designer. I do create digital printables. I am on Ko-fi. That's where I share all of my digital printables for download and journaling videos. For Paper Crafting Tier members, you can sign up and get immediate access, or you can just drop in one time, leave a tip, and get access to other printables that are on the feed. I also have freebies in the Ko-fi shop, so go check it out, link down below. And of course, you can download all of my freebies that are posted on my blog, tortagialla.com. I've been blogging there for years, and you can find a huge archive of freebie printable papers and things to download and play with in your journals. I appreciate your support so much. Thank you again, and until next time, bye.